How's it going, crew? Earl the Pearl here. We're out here at West Pac Training Center with Mark Baker. Me and the squad are just bowling right now. This video specifically is going to kind of focus on the two-finger bowling, no thumb audience out there. Me and my boy Bryan Cooke over here. We both bowl two fingers a little bit differently. He has a higher rev rate, higher speed. I'm a little bit more on the medium kind of side. So hopefully today we kind of dissect the game a little bit more on our we kind of dissect the game a little bit better on our terms, so hopefully this video helps you out.
So when you talk about just using your two fingers and not using your thumb, there are a couple good rules to have. One, you got to have a pretty relaxed stance because your thumb's not in it. I mean, the easiest way to do this is just copy Tom Doherty, the best one-handed bowler in the world. What mean, two-finger, no-thumb bowler in the world. You hold like this. The key to this is the ball has to always stay in your palm because there's no thumb. So the push away has to be very smooth, and your hand has to stay behind the ball as long as possible. And the best thing you can do is keep your head up. If you get up here, and you get here, and your head goes down, when my head goes down, it pulls my shoulder. There's no thumb in the ball, then you'll constantly drop it, or it'll come off on the inside. So when you're using just two fingers and no thumb, keep your head up, try to really walk. At the very end, you keep your head up, use the foul line as a barrier, so the ball will stay in your hand, and you can actually get on the lane and have the rotation last. Very imperative to keep your head up, and keep the ball in your hand, and have a very smooth push away and swing. Because there's no thumb, if you get quick anywhere in here, the ball's gonna wanna fall off, and bad things happen. So right here, you see how he loads up his hand? He's perfectly in balance here. Watch it hook back.
A couple people in the comments have been asking how far I put my fingers into the bowling ball. For personal preference, I go at least like what, 1.5 divots in. For personally, it's a little bit more comfortable.
So when you're talking about just using your fingers, not using your thumb, the first thing you'll notice is how short his backswing is. That's predicated by not having a thumb. So if your swing gets too high, the ball will fall off. So the key is really being able to balance the ball in your hand by having a good stance, really smooth push away and having it come back as flat as you can. So getting your legs ahead of it, and has to control his head. If his head's on top of his knee, his hand will stay here. If his head get too far in front, his hand will go around it. He does an excellent job of controlling his balance. That lets his hand do the trick. Here we go.
What happened there?
You're throwing a really strong ball, and you're trying to slow hook it in the back ends. How many shots have you guys thrown today? Yeah, you're at 115 shots. So the back ends have definitely gotten more carry down. The back ends have gotten tighter. So the ball isn't as clean as it was when you first started.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ball down to my pie. As a weaker cover stock, still a solid. So hopefully that works out. Same one.
A little closer. You're still too far left.
Still too far left?
The thing is, you decided before we started that they were going to hook. The one thing I have noticed is what's the third time you've been to the training center, Earl?
Yeah.
Your accuracy is way higher. So what does that tell you? You should move around more.
I should.
You keep trying to throw the ball better.
Yeah.
There is no better. Are you trying hard? You're trying hard.
I am.
So you can't throw it better than 100%.
Yeah.
You're giving me 100%. But you're hitting your target much more regularly, so you should have the ability more to move around the lane quicker.
Okay.
It's hard to adjust when you're not very accurate. Once your accuracy gets better, adjusting gets easier. You're getting information. You're not wanting to hear it, but you're getting it.
Use it, Earl.
I'm moving right. Man, I missed left.
You missed left, but it's still to pocket. So here's what bowlers do all the time. All right, this is a special segment. I want this to be a reel. Don't be one of these bowlers. All right, here's what they do. What Earl just did. Trip 4. Threw it terrible. I missed. Terrible. Don't be that bowler. Be an athlete. Here's how an athlete thinks. Oh, that's inside. Ooh, trip 4. I'm kicking everybody's ass today. If my misses strikes, I know my good ones will strike. That's how you bowl.
All right.
Never shake your head on the strike.
All right.
Because the bowling gods don't like it. If you shake your head on the strike, you can count on a solid 8 or solid 9 when you really need it, and you got nobody to blame but yourself. If you get a heavy one, take advantage of it. Be an athlete.
You're right. You're right. Oh, beautiful shot, Earl! Come on! I'm an athlete!
Go ahead, Bryan. The good old candle.
You need to bowl league here. You might be the best bowler here.
I'll take it here.
The king of West Pac. You walk in that door, your average goes up 30 pins.
Mr. Nasty Son.
So this is a little more unique with Bryan doing it because he's not using his middle two fingers, he's using these two. So how well he walks the foul line, how well he controls his head is even more imperative because now the ball's going to want to constantly fall off on the inside of his hand. He's going to want to come over top. So walking straighter, keeping his head up is what he has to focus on the most. Nothing wrong with that shot, he just drifted into it. So
Amateurs tend to drift right for one specific reason. They want to see the ball hook. If you drift into your swing, your ball gets to the dry early and you get to see hook. Pros, on the other hand, want to learn to control their hook. Pros walk left to control it. Amateurs walk right to see it hook. Obviously, if you're going to try to bowl for a living, you're going to have to learn to walk straight or walk left because they bowl on such diverse conditions and the lanes hook so much that walking away from your target gets your ball to the back part of the lane before it hooks. People that tend to walk right tend to like play outside. Bowlers will walk more than 5 right, tend to love to play right at 10, throw it really hard. That's a way to bowl. But if you're going to bowl for a living, bowl a lot of sport shots, you might want to look into walking straight or a little bit left. For a guy the size of Bryan, walking right is the kiss of death because his rev rate's high and he walks into a swing. When you walk into your swing, what does your hand have to do? Go around it. But he's only using these 2 fingers. He doesn't need to go around any earlier than he did. So when he walks right, he's hitting his front target, but he's missing the back target, which is the important target. I went and worked with Bryan for about an hour. Watch how much smoother Bryan is. Way smoother, hitting his target. He liked it. We can adjust off that. But here's what happened. His rev rate was 444. When Bryan walked in the door, it was closer to 560, but he didn't know where it's going. So rev rate by itself as a number is not the be-all, end-all. It's a rev rate you can control and be in balance with. His rev rate's come down, but his consistency's gone up. It's great to have a high rev rate. We'd all like to throw like EJ Tackett and be 510 every time. But if you have a high rev rate, but you can't throw it the same way 3 times in a row, it's not going to equate to knocking down more pins. And at the end of the day, they only ask you one question. What was your score? I shot 247. They might ask you your rev rate. Very rarely do they do. Wow, 247, you won the 3rd game side pot. They don't ask you your rev rate, they just ask you your score.
They need to hear from someone other than the people that do know.
Look how much more balanced he is. Yes, yes.
And look good though, like you really are on balance.
Right.
Let's see how that looks.
See, that was 480, which is still a giant number, but it didn't need to be 580 because it wasn't controllable, plus it didn't slow down a hook. 480, if he does that without trying, that's a hell of a number.
And later in the game, he's not going to be throwing 18 anymore. He's going to be throwing 20.
Right, so that's the thing is,
So that's going to go up.
we had to get him in better balance. So yes, his rev rate came down, but his opportunities to strike, he gave himself more chances. His scores will go up. If your rev rate's 480, life's good. Yes, yes, now they're all looking the same. There you go. So there you go. How's his last 2 shots? 488, 489 rev rate. Much, much better. Here's how this works. Talk about consistency. Last 2 shots. His laydown was 0.1 different. Arrows, 0.3 different. Break point, 0.1 different. Speed, only 0.2. Angle, 1/10. Average speed. There you go. So those 2 numbers, those are basically the same shot. That's what bowling's all about. How can you repeat shots over and over and over?
Hey! 2, look, 2.
You know he was feeling it. You know when you're feeling it? When you tell the camera guy, are you ready? Because here it comes.
You ready?
You know when you're ready, like, camera dude, you ready? I don't want to hear. Sorry, we didn't have any film.
He answered it because I noticed that my drift was always going into where my eyes was placed. So instead of going towards it, I just need to keep my body pretty much going straight and then I'll be able to launch.
It keeps the swing
at
slot
that
in line
angle.
with his target. So then his swing wasn't moving around, and when you're as big as he is, the advantage or disadvantage to big guys at bowl. When we're on, it's impressive. When we're off, it's impressive. I didn't have too many weeks on tour. I just did okay. I bowled really good, and I had weeks like, why am I on tour? Big guys, when you get all the levers going the wrong way, it's like you can't even get 9. But when we're on, we make the lanes look easy. So that's why you don't see a ton of big guys on the tour. But the guys on the tour that were big that made it tend to make the Hall of Fame. Dave Sutar, Steve Cook, Chris Barnes. Yeah, these guys that are the big guys that really, really make it tend to stay on the tour for a long time. Gary Dickinson, they have great careers. I didn't quite make that group.
At one time I was young. Long time ago, actually a different century.